Hailing frequencies open. Welcome back to Trek Retrek here on Geek the F Out. I am Captain Johnny.
I'm Ensign Kayla.
We're here to talk about Star Trek. We're far
Yes,
enough in that
indeedy.
if you're watching this, you probably know what the drill is by now. But just in case, if you happen upon this episode first, for some reason, Ensign Kayla, why don't you tell them what we do here?
What do we do here? I have to do it. I have to do it every time. Yeah, if you haven't watched this before, we are going episode by episode from the beginning of Star Trek, the original series. Johnny has seen everything in terms of Star Trek. I have seen nothing besides these previous episodes and Strange New Worlds of Star Trek. And yeah, talking about each episode from our two very different perspectives. So thank y'all for joining us. If this is your first time watching, or if you're watching again on the premiere or on the replay, thanks for joining. Excited to chat about the alternative factor.
Yeah, this is an interesting episode because this is going to premiere the same day as the season and or series finale of Loki, season 2.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting that this matches up with that. But TVGuide.com. What?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, TVGuide.com.
No, I was just trying to figure out how it's similar, and then I realized.
TVGuide.com says the alternative factor. Kirk's investigation of an energy force takes him to a planet where he encounters Lazarus, who is actually two people, one sane, one insane, from parallel universes.
Perfect. All right. Great show, guys. Thanks for joining.
No. We're just getting started.
No. Okay. So we start out on the bridge, like most episodes, flying around. Something attacks them, and they're like winking out, which is a very interesting term. And then something blinked. What? LOL in my notes. There's a lot of confusing bits in this episode, I will say that. And then, they detect a human below them appeared at the same time as the winking out on this planet. And so, of course, Spock, Kirk, and crew beam down to the planet, and they find a ship. And this guy, who, we later find out is named Lazarus. God, that's hard to say. And he's like, "Oh, thank you for coming. We can still stop him." And then he falls, and then I'm like, is dead? But he's not dead. But, I mean, if it's Lazarus, why is that so hard to say? Could be dead and came back to life? Question mark.
Maybe.
Anyways. Back on the ship, apparently this phenomenon drained all their crystals, and so they have to recharge them. Starfleet tells Kirk to do code 1 factor, which is invasion status. So very, very scary. And Commodore videos in saying that the phenomenon has happened everywhere, but came from where they're at. But, Kirk's like, okay, then can we get some help? Some other starships? And the Commodore's like, nope, you are on your own. You are bait. You must fend for yourselves now, which, slight dick move, but that's okay. I get it, but and then Lazarus says this thing destroyed his whole civilization. And so then Kirk beams down to with Lazarus to Spock in the ship. And weird stuff starts happening again, and that's when we find out his name is Lazarus. And then there's these ghosts that are inverted colored people ghosts that are fighting ? And I literally put in my notes, what in the dick is happening in this inverted world?
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote I definitely wrote down what the fuck or who the fuck, and this episode just my notes so far have consisted of, oh, the turbo lift behind Kirk on the bridge is lit very warmly this episode for some reason. And then I made note that Kirk gets way too frustrated when Spock has no explanation for something. Like,
Yeah.
and then I wrote, this planet looks familiar because it's fucking Vasquez rocks again. In like, it's the same barren planet they always beam down to.
Yeah, it is. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, this was definitely in multiple episodes before.
Yeah.
This is not new.
Which that's a theme these next couple episodes. And then I wrote invasion question mark, holy cause question mark, Lazarus question mark. Oh, stardate 3088.3, and then cups. And that
That's almost my next note. I have a couple notes first, and then Cup Watch 2023 in bold letters. And then yeah, Spock says attack came from the planet, but can't figure out what it is. McCoy asks to see Jim, and he says that Lazarus's head wound has disappeared in seconds, and that is when Cup Watch 2023 happens. And my next note is this lady's dress is basically a skirt. Like the lady that goes and sits down next to, what's that, Masters? I forget who that was. I think the other lady in the break room.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I don't know.
But yeah, she walks over and it literally looks like a t-shirt. Her dress is a t-shirt. It's not just that it's like short, it just like doesn't even like go down over her butt and is like cut weird. Like clearly they cut it straight across and not at an angle to accommodate for the butt. So
for the butt.
Yeah.
What?
For the butt.
In the butt? I said what? In the butt?
So yeah, they're in the break room and Lazarus is there and a dude comes in to talk to the lieutenant about the dilithium crystals, and Lazarus overhears this and he's like, oh fuck, crystals, and leaves. And I was like, why the fuck is no one watching him? Like, why is he just allowed to? Because then later they're like, oh, he like ran away or they can't find him or blah blah blah. And I was like, well, you weren't really watching him before.
Yeah.
It's your own damn fault.
Yep. Pretty much. They're not paying any attention to him. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Continue.
Okay. And then Lazarus has another fight with the bean, which I just put BEAN because that's easier to write than BEING, the magical fruit, not the musical fruit.
That one extra letter really is really inconvenient.
Shut up. I just realized that. It is. Well, E and A are closer together, so
that's true. The I is really out of the way of all the other letters.
It is. Yeah, which take a drink like you just did. Every time he gets into a fight with the bean, because it happens all the fucking time this episode. And my next note is, really God, these are so awkward to watch. Like, I mean, all of the fighting in these episodes are really, really awkward, really weirdly choreographed, especially Kirk's. But yeah, these ones in particular, I think just because they kept happening too, and you also can't really see.
Yeah, because you can't fucking see anything.
Yeah, it's so
because it's negative.
So inverted.
It's negative colors overlaid on top of a strobing galaxy. Like, yeah, it's weird.
Don't watch this if you have epilepsy. It's bad.
There's other reasons not to watch this, which I'll get into.
Yeah, okay. And then all of a sudden his bandage and wound is back, and on the bridge they found the source of the radiation on the planet, and Spock says it isn't really there, which is weird. He calls it a rip in the universe, and Lazarus says the dilithium crystals could trap the bean, asks for them, and Kirk's like, absolutely not. Um, and then he's like, I will have my vengeance, and leaves bridge. And I was like, okay, cool. Good luck with that. And then has another fight with the bean in the hallway. And then Lieutenant Masters enters the engineering room. Lazarus takes out the other dude and then takes out Masters. And, they hear about this. And there's a shot of Kirk looking at the camera. And I was like, did Kirk just break the fourth wall and look at the camera?
I didn't catch that.
He kind of looks at the camera and then looks like right next to the camera. But it's for a good amount of time that you notice it, though.
He's supposed to be like looking past the camera, but
looking past the camera, kind of like to our right as the viewer. But for a good solid second, he definitely looks at the camera first and then looks that way. So anyways, so they interrogate Lazarus, and he says the being is humanoid, and they beam back down to the planet. Also, there's a lot of back and forth between the planet and the bridge as well. There's a lot of fights, a lot of beaming. Take a drink every time. And now it's funny because obviously we find out he's two different, the same person from different universes, but like sometimes his beard is more full and then sometimes it's really thin. Did you notice that?
No, I really was not paying attention, and it's at this point that I wrote down, oh great, they're doing the multiverse too, which is just as like a joke because clearly it's fucking from the 60s and this was way before, but it's just funny to me.
Another multiverse. Another multiverse of madness.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I didn't notice the beard and the difference in fullness. I don't think that actor actually has a beard and mustache. I think that's fake beard and mustache.
It's 100% fake. There is no way that shit's real. But I think it wasn't done on purpose because I was trying to, when I rewatched it, I was trying to watch if it got like more full to be the other guy. But the only thing that they purposely really changed was the bandage. It was just kind of random when it looked more full. And so once again, Lazarus and the bean fight. And this is when I wrote down, I was like, is he fighting himself and he doesn't know it? And then I was like, is this a metaphor for like schizophrenia? Like you're fighting with yourself? I don't know. And then he just falls again. Keeps falling.
Yeah.
And Kirk calls him out. He's like, you lied. And Lazarus says the planet he came from is actually the planet below, and his spaceship is a time ship, and he's a time traveler, and says that the other being took the crystals. And Kirk and Spock now think radiation came from parallel universe. So that's when they start to put everything together. And they talk about how it could be like a small scale invasion, not like a huge invasion like the Starfleet thinks.
Yeah.
And yeah, Spock says how Lazarus is two men and two universes, one matter, one antimatter, and if they collide, everything will end violently, essentially. The universes and the world as we know it will cease to exist. And then we have Lazarus sabotaging a thing on the wall, which then starts steaming in the engineering room, and the energizer is shorted. He goes in the room, gets the crystals, beams down with the crystals, goes to the ship, put the crystals in the ship. Take a drink every time I say crystals. Kirk beams down and confronts Lazarus. Lazarus, why is it so hard to say? And then disappears? Question mark?
Yes.
Well, we find out where he disappears too. But and then Kirk is now fighting the bean, and we find out he's an alternate dimension. and this Alt Lazarus, as I call him, has the same crash ship, but he is very like calm, cool, and collected compared to this crazy Lazarus. And I was like, this is such a casual convo compared to what we've been witnessing with our Lazarus. And he says like, oh, you passed through an alternative warp. And so they make this plan to capture Lazarus, because if they meet face to face, everything will cease to exist. But if Lazarus goes in like this in between, and then he goes in this in between, and then they destroy their ships, they'll be stuck there forever, but everything will be okay. It's very confusing, but apparently that's how it works. And yeah, he says that Lazarus became obsessed with destroying Alt Lazarus. But they will be stuck in this corridor forever until the end of time. And he's like, that's okay with me if that means everyone else is saved. So Kirk goes back to his universe, has this very awkward fight with Lazarus, more Kirk Fu, and he like mounts him at one point.
And
then he like throws him up against the ship.
And Spock and two security guards are just fucking standing there. And Kirk's like, don't interfere. Just don't do anything. I've got this. It's like.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. I put in my notes, what in the dick is this fight? Looks like Kirk is riding him. So pretty much he makes Lazarus go back. And they go back to the Enterprise and they phaser the ship. And both Spock and Kirk at the end are like, what of Lazarus? He's like, what of Lazarus? And they're like, oh, it's okay. It was a sacrifice needed, essentially. And that's it. That was the episode.
Yeah.
Any other notes?
Nope. No, they.
You sound like you have some thoughts.
I do have a note. The way they were talking, it was when Kirk and Spock were in the briefing room talking and figuring things out. I said, this is interesting, but the journey here was boring. Antimatter scenes are awful. That is also favorite lines and moments. That's my favorite moment, is the briefing room conversation between Kirk and Spock. And Spock has a line.
Wait, which one?
What?
The briefing room?
The one where they figure out it's matter and antimatter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then Spock has a line where he says, I fail to comprehend your indignation, sir. I've simply made the logical deduction that you are a liar.
Mm-hmm. I have that one down too. Are we just getting into lines and moments?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want to talk about why you hate this episode so much?
No, we'll later.
When we rank it?
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Let's see. Yeah, I liked that line. Yeah, I've simply made the logical deduction that you're a liar. And I loved the line, well, say he's got the constitution of a dinosaur. Recuperative powers ditto. And as we both know, I'm a bright young medic with a miraculous touch. McCoy to Kirk. And then McCoy also says, this is a big ship. I'm just a country doctor. McCoy has the best lines. Just so good. So good. What's another one? Oh, when Kirk says bones, if I had time, I'd laugh. I'm like, how long does it take you to laugh? 1 second? Like, why was that necessary? What are some other ones? I think the rest. He's got to get some rest, Jim. And would you get that muscle man out of my sick bay?
Yeah.
And I was like, LOL, McCoy. Not wrong, though. Dude is caliente. I think that might be it for lines. Yeah, besides the what of Lazarus at the end. Yeah, it was an interesting
What of
episode.
Lazarus?
Yeah, there was it. I mean, yeah, like you said, ultimately a wee bit boring, I would say too. Yeah, a lot of the same kind of scenes, a lot of unnecessary scenes, a lot of unnecessary fighting with beans. That rhymes. Um, uh, I don't know. Lots of beaming back and forth, and like, I there is a bit of a not philosophical. This is a word I've forgotten before in the past. An interesting thing to think about in terms of these two beings being caught in eternity for the sake of the rest of existence surviving.
Mm-hmm.
What's the word for that?
I think philosophical is right.
Yeah, there's another word.
Existential.
And it's the same, yeah, like existential crisis. Not really. Something like that. I've forgotten this word before too. Like there's that aspect of it which is interesting, but of course that comes at the very end, and they don't really think about it too much, at least that they show us on the episode. But yeah, ultimately say it's a fairly forgettable episode, but yeah, I guess we can get into that more when we rank it. Any other thoughts?
No,
for now?
let's do That's What They Said.
No. Okay. Fine. Sheesh. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start? That's what they said.
I'll start.
Okay.
This is your That's What They Said for the alternative factor. That'll wrap it up.
You came. Thank the heavens.
He'll be stiff and sore for a while.
Thank you, sir.
From the top, Mr. Spock.
How does he do it?
Is that an order?
We could do it.
How's your head?
Sometimes pain can drive a man harder than pleasure.
Couldn't that be described as a whole?
Finished. Which is perfect because that's the last one. I didn't even mean to do that. It's just
indeed
how it was.
Yeah, I had a note. Pain and pleasure. That's what they said. I knew this was going to end. Okay. Episode trivia from Memory Alpha.
Ooh, ooh.
The original script called for a romantic entanglement between Charlene Masters and Lazarus that was eventually cut due to Roddenberry considering it too similar to the romance between Khan and McGivers in Space Seed.
Okay, so that's why she was in it. I was
maybe.
like, who's this lady?
As stated by Roddenberry in a season 1 memo, in both Space Seed and this story, we have a crew woman fall madly in love with a brawny guest star and flipping our whole gang into a real mess because she's in love. Do they have to do this in 2 of our scripts?
Well, do you have to do the same trope in like half your scripts? Right. Hot kettle.
James Doohan and George Takei do not appear in this episode. The absence of Scotty has been remarked in several commentaries as being highly unusual, given the extensive exposure in the episode of engineering matters, such as the theft of dilithium crystals, as well as Lazarus sneaking about engineering and attacking various engineering crew members.
Yeah, why?
Because Scotty's a fucking badass, and if he wasn't on vacation, none of this would have happened. That's why.
Okay.
Like, I'm pretty sure, like, the only reason, like, Scotty was on shore leave somewhere. Like, he was taking a week off. Shoddy.
Be my shoddy.
But he was on shore leave somewhere. He wasn't on the ship. Otherwise, Lazarus wouldn't have got within, like, 2 inches of a dilithium crystal, because Scotty would have fucking killed him. Probably not, but Scotty is a badass.
Let's fuck shit up. Shit would have been fucked, as I like to say.
Actor
Shit, fuck, dick.
shit dick.
Shit, dick.
Actor John Drew Barrymore, father of actress Drew Barrymore, was originally contracted to play Lazarus. Barrymore was scheduled to begin filming on the second day of production, November 17th, 1966. However, the previous afternoon, he sent word to the studio that he would refuse to show up to work. Barrymore's replacement, Robert Brown, on the recommendation of his friend William Shatner, was contacted the same night, literally dragged to the studio, and offered the job on the spot starting the next morning.
Of course, it's Kirk's friend.
Yeah. He recounted the filming to be very tight and tense. That's what they said.
Good one.
The Star Trek production team filed a grievance against Barrymore at the Screen Actors Guild, which led to him being unable to attain acting work for 6 months in 1967.
Well, you did it to yourself.
He did. Do your fucking job, man.
Yeah.
This episode introduces a new set, a small subsection of engineering, described in the final draft of the script as the lithium crystal recharging station instead of dilithium, which was described as a portion of engineering where there are bins into which dilithium crystals are placed for recharging. Part of the dilithium energizer panel in the set used the same controls as the neural neutralizer from Dagger of the Mind.
Okay.
There is another.
Okay.
There's another piece of episode trivia that is on Memory Alpha that I will read when we rank the episode.
Okay. Well, as I need to start saying, fascinating.
That's right.
I remembered.
Ease it in. So
nice and deep black.
That brings us to spoilers without context. I don't know who went first last time, but yeah, I was gonna.
You went first for That's What They Said, so yeah. I go. So
so we will bring.
Yes.
Ensign Kate. Which way am I? Yeah, that's right. I must have mirrored myself because I can point the right way now. This way.
This way. I'm mirrored, so it's this way. Yes, so we have Lazarus rising from the grave from the Bible. So that's what that that picture is. And then I literally looked up ghosts fighting. And that's what came up.
It's kind of adorable.
Right? I was like, I have to do it. And then of course, because multiverse have to do the Spider-Man meme of all of them pointing at each other. We got to do it every time now.
Yep.
It's a thing. And then the multiverse of madness, because more multiverse stuff. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, nice. I love the fighting ghosts.
It's so cute.
Big fan. So we will bring my spoilers without context up, and I did film negatives because of like the negative anti space-time fight. The I want to believe flying saucer because of Lazarus' ship just looked like a flowing saucer with a dome and like a little tail.
It did. Ooh, that's a good one.
And then of course the Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man, like, had to do it.
We have to do it.
Yeah.
Can't not do it.
And then I did the poop emoji because this episode is shit.
I wonder what you're gonna rank it.
Oh gee, I don't know. Here's let's go to rank. Ensign Kayla, what do you rank the episode?
Straight and to the point. I'm ranking it what you're gonna rank it, Ensign. Yeah. It is a clusterfuck of an episode that not really much happens. The same kind of things keep happening, and there's not really, I don't know, the plot doesn't really progress at all. Like there's not, like, there kind of is a plot, kind of isn't, and it's resolved very quickly, and I don't know. It was fine. It was like I was laughing at it, but I was laughing at it, not with it. And yeah, I just don't feel like it really matters too much in the world of Trek, and there are much better episodes besides it. Kind of makes me sad that this is like so close to the end of the season and it's not very good, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, Ensign.
Yep, Ensign. This episode is fucking awful. Like
Damn. I think this is the first time
I
you've like really not liked an episode.
I was so checked out after the first like negative space fight, like the
So many
antimatter
negative
universe
space
fight.
fights.
Like the first one, I was kind of like, huh, okay, what are they doing here? But then it was like, not only was it like inverted colors, it was
Mhm.
like 15 frames a second. So it was like slow motion. And it just
Yeah.
went on and on and
Mhm.
on. There's a
Mhm.
good episode in here. That's the thing. Like, I think there's interesting
It
concepts in
could
here.
have it could have been really good.
It wasn't. So the other thing I was gonna say, from Memory Alpha, the Agony Booth website included this episode among the worst of Trek. In their recap, they write that in the episode, very little actually happens, and what little that does come about only comes about because Kirk and company are written to act in such a way that can only be described as severely brain damaged.
Damn, that is harsh.
The reviewer continues, I never thought I'd say this, but this episode is making, I'm not going to say the title of the episode because there's another episode that is very
Oh.
widely considered to be the absolute worst episode ever. But it
Of
says,
TOS or Star Trek.
of TOS. He says, I never
Don't
thought
mind
I'd say
me.
this, but this episode is making that episode look pretty goddamn good right about now.
Damn.
This is
That's-
one of the most poorly constructed 50 minutes I've ever seen. An almost impossibly incoherent script, a damp squib of a finale, and some horrible editing make this one of the true stinkers in the Trek universe. Also, he mentions that Barrymore didn't show up for filming. Given the script, I can't say I blame the fellow. The rest of the
Yeah.
cast should have done the same thing, to be perfectly frank.
Oh, that's good.
Uh,
That's good.
yeah, so there's that. And I have to wonder.
That's not enough.
Well, no, because I have to wonder if I was watching this the week that it aired in 1966. Is it good? Is it groundbreaking? Like, is it a interesting multiverse story? Because look, this compared to the multiverse or March of 67 is when it aired. So if I'm watching this in 1967, am I entertained in a good way?
Are you not entertained?
Compared to going, wow, there's so much shit that has been done better alternate universe stories in the last nearly 50 years than this episode.
I wonder if this was the first alternative like parallel universe thing.
I don't think so,
on
because
TV?
I think Twilight Zone and Outer Limits have had some
Oh,
alternate
yeah,
universe
sure.
stuff.
I'm sure. That's true.
But in major, not that Star Trek was a major franchise yet when this was airing, but in major sci-fi franchises, like, it's probably one of the first big ones. I mean, it's not even that. It's an inconsequential story as it is anyway. Like,
Tell us how you really feel, Johnny.
It's just bad. But I think there's some interesting concepts in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's like you said, the most interesting part of the episode to me was Kirk and Spock just sitting in a room talking about what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best part of the episode.
Yeah.
Was Kirk and Spock talking to each other.
Yeah.
Like,
and the fact that that's the best part of the episode.
yeah. Yep.
That's saying something.
Like, I'm tempted to be like, no, this doesn't even get an ensign. This is dishonorably discharged from Starfleet. Like, it's that bad. But it's just, don't watch it. I can tell, unless you for some reason want to see a bad episode of television and an absolute train wreck, do not waste your time on this episode. Just don't. Skip it. 100%. Even if you have time to watch it, don't. Just there's no, I don't see any redeeming, like.
And this is from a very big Star Trek fan, so if you don't take my word for it, take Johnny's word for it.
There's just, I think
and blame him.
There's also too much of Lazarus, who is not an interesting character until like the last 5 minutes of the episode. And the vast majority of the episode is him stumbling through hallways in negative vision. Like, it's just bad. It's just not good.
Well, I mean, at least we can laugh at it.
Yes. I mean, that's why I did, like, during my spoilers without context, I'm like, I really cannot, like, and that's why I laughed when I'm like, I'm just going to put the poop emoji because the episode is shit. Like,
I was wondering what that was for.
Yep. Okay. Hey, so our next episode is episode 28. The City on the Edge of Forever. When a temporarily insane Dr. McCoy accidentally changes history and destroys his time, Kirk and Spock follow him to prevent the disaster, but the price to do so is high. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun. Anyways. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining. If you're watching on the replay, thanks for watching the replay. Make sure to smack that like, smack that subscribe. Yeah, smack that bell icon. What they said. Leave a comment if you're watching the replay.
If you're watching live, go watch the season finale of Loki season 2, and come back tomorrow to talk about it with us.
Mm-hmm.
And our special guests
tomorrow with Dole and Yoko and some surprise special guests, which I probably will have posted about by now, but yeah. Yeah, so join us for that. We will be back every Thursday for Trek Retrek. We're gonna do a little something special for Thanksgiving, not quite sure yet, so we won't do our normal episode that day, so don't worry about tuning in because it's Thanksgiving. So
yes,
yeah, thanks everyone for joining. If you want to follow us on social media, our Instagram, Twitter, and Threads is at GTFO channel. If you want to email us, our email is channelgtfo@gmail.com. It is the reverse of our socials. And yeah, until next time, peace and long life.
Live long and prosper.
Bye.
Don't watch this episode.